Hello, boys and girls. Lord Hawkeye here again. It's still early in the month, but it's already time for the fail quote of September. This time, it's by a YouTube user who seems to be especially determined to win this very highly sought-after award. That user being, well, we'll call him Mr. X because I can't pronounce it. Anyways, it started with a debate on the social contract with the usual confusion between tacit consent and estoppel, and moved on to many other things. There were so many gems among his many posts that I just simply couldn't decide. But then, one stood out to me, and that was this. The freedom to move isn't a wild card. You do have that choice. What right would you have to force the rest of us to live your way? And force is the only way you would get it. I'm sorry. I mean, think about that. The status morally opposes someone forcing their views on him. It seems status can dish it out, but they can't take it. Like a street thug who calls the police when his victims fight back. Now, just for the record, I support the non-aggression principle, which states that the initiation of force is universally immoral. So Mr. X here is either attacking an ideology without even a clear understanding of it, which is foolish to say the least, or he's just bold-faced lying. As for his claim that force is the only way to do it, well, that's the old statist arrogance at work again. Just because he can't think of another way, that must mean no other way exists. That's why statism is the religion that tells you you're God, boys and girls. Beware. But let's analyze this quote even further. Mr. X morally condemns forcing one's views on others, does he? Well, let's see. He has several times spoken in support of war throughout the discussion. That alone is pretty shitty hypocrisy right there. But oh, we're just getting warmed up, folks. He also supports the social contract. When questioned why governments get to impose such a contract while citizens do not, his response is simply because the government is sovereign over the region. Hence why my social contract supposedly doesn't apply, because I'm not sovereign over YouTube or whatever. It's bogus arguments, I know, but let's be generous. Let's let him have all that without a fight. The real issue is, how did your state acquire said sovereignty? Answer: they took it by force from the original inhabitants of the land. Yes, that's right. Our moral hero says forcing your views on others is bad, yet morally supports a sovereignty which is founded by a bunch of guys who force their views on a populace. Oh. Whether it's religious nutcases or state worshippers, the mantra is always the same. Murder, stealing, and coercion are bad, except when my club does it, because my club is special. The mantra of every fanatic in history. So let's just let this haunt Mr. X for the rest of his days, that he is a fanatic, an elitist, and worst of all, an apologist for violence. It never ceases to amaze me how people can oppose my viewpoints so passionately and yet demonstrate that they haven't even lifted a finger to research it, or even research the views that they preach for that matter. They just beat their chests and make up these ridiculous doomsday prophecies to anything that's not the status quo. Prophecies that I have yet to see a single example of actually happening. Oh, and Mr. X, one last thing. Let's say you're right, and violent overthrow is the only way we could end the state and achieve our dream of true freedom. Guess what? You'd always be free to leave. Until next time, be aware and be wise.